Hi guys, welcome back to CJ's Keto Kitchen. Well, this is the final recipe in our seasonal series for the month of December, focusing on holiday recipes. And we know at this point that Christmas is over, and we hope that you had a very Merry Christmas and a Happy Holiday. So this last recipe that I'm going to be doing is going to be focused on New Year's, and I'm going to be making an appetizer. And it is going to be prosciutto wrapped shrimp with a bourbon barbecue sauce. So come along with me and let's get started. We are going to be making prosciutto wrapped shrimp, and prosciutto is a type of ham. It's a little bit more delicate than bacon, but it's going to have that same flavor and feel. And then we are going to be making our own jazzed up barbecue sauce with bourbon in it. So it'll be very festive for any of your New Year's Day holidays or if you're asked to bring a dish. So let's go ahead and get making our delicious appetizer. To begin our prosciutto wrapped prawns, we are going to be making our homemade barbecue sauce, bourbon barbecue sauce. But we are going to need to cook our shrimp in the oven, so the first thing that we need to do before we begin our sauce is to preheat our oven. We need 400 degrees. I have a saucepan, and it's just a medium-sized saucepan, and I put it on medium to medium-high heat. And I have about a tablespoon of avocado oil in mine because I'm going to be sauteing my onion and my herbs. So I have chopped just a small section of purple onion. The original Food and Wine recipe called for an entire onion, and I didn't think that this was necessary. So I cut it down to a section of onion that was about 2 inches by 2 inches, and I chopped it very finely. I also have chopped a little bit of fresh rosemary. Now you can find rosemary almost anywhere in the grocery store now. Over in the produce section, it's usually by the prepared bagged salads and the dressings that you keep cold. Now rosemary grows on a stalk, and it's very woody, so it has a very woody stalk. And then it has your little softer fronds. Your fronds are actually still quite woody, but it's extremely fragrant and it goes very well with poultry and seafood. So in order to remove it from the stalk, you go the opposite direction. So you would hold at the top and then you pull towards you, and that will make all these little fronds come off. Just chopped mine very finely here. So I'm going to put that into the warming oil. And we are going to let our onions start to cook down and get soft and slightly brown before we add our other barbecue sauce ingredients. I'm adding the rosemary as well. I'm also going to put in a little bit of garlic powder. If you wanted to use fresh garlic in this step, you absolutely could. It's totally personal preference. I'm also going to put in a little bit of 21 seasoning salute because I happen to enjoy it. And we're just going to let that hang out and warm, get slightly brown and translucent. Okay, to our onion and herb, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of brown sugar alternative sweetener. I'm using Sucrin Gold. The original recipe called for brown sugar, and so this, of course, is a good natural alternative. And I'm just going to stir that around. And it will start to melt and get caramely, which is what we're looking for. We also want a tablespoon of Dijon mustard. I'm going to turn my heat down to medium-low. So I want a tablespoon of Dijon mustard, any kind is fine. We want a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. If you do not have apple cider vinegar, you could of course use white vinegar in this step. We're just basically looking for the acidity here. We want a dash of Worcestershire sauce. And we also want a dash of hot sauce, any kind you want. I'm going to be using a chili pepper sauce. And we just need a dash of that. So we're just stirring all of those ingredients in, and I'm going to get my whisk now. So to this, we are going to be adding 1/2 cup of prepared barbecue sauce. Now I am using a sugar-free barbecue sauce. If you made your own barbecue sauce, you absolutely could do that. This is just a time-saving step, and this was part of the original recipe. Of course, it wasn't sugar-free in the original recipe, but I am using a sugar-free product. And we are going to continue whisking that in. Now I want to add just a little bit of salt and a little bit of black pepper. I heat back up just a little bit and let this continue to cook for just a minute. Now, I promised you in the title of the recipe that this was going to be a bourbon barbecue sauce. So, at this point, we are indeed going to be adding some Kentucky bourbon. I'm using Evan Williams. You can use any kind of Kentucky bourbon you want. You can omit the alcohol if you don't care for alcohol. But because this is a bourbon barbecue sauce, I am indeed going to be adding some bourbon. So I want 2 tablespoons of bourbon. And the bourbon gives it that nice, if you're a fan of bourbon or if you've ever drunk bourbon before, bourbon is aged in oak barrels, so it has a really nice, strong smokiness that can add a lot of depth to flavors that are already strong, such as barbecue sauces and things that are smoked, like the prosciutto that we're going to be adding onto our prawns. So we're just going to let this continue to warm through, and then I'm going to puree this in my mini food processor to make sure that it is very smooth for the application onto our prawns. So I am going to pour my barbecue sauce into my mini food processor, getting all of it with my spatula. It smells good. I'm going to pulse this a couple of times in order to make smooth the onion and the rosemary that we put in there, and to make sure that all of our ingredients are thoroughly incorporated into our barbecue sauce. Yep. So I'm going to take our barbecue sauce out of our processor and put it in a separate bowl so that we can start assembling our prawns. So I have my half sheet pan here, and you do need a sheet pan with a lip. That is important for keeping everything on your tray. So I have my jumbo prawns here, and they're a frozen product, so I have rinsed them. I am just using some jumbo shrimp from Trader Joe's. You could use a fresh, unfrozen product if you wanted to, but they need to be large enough because we're going to be wrapping them with prosciutto, which is the smoked ham. And it's a little more delicate than bacon, so it should brown up quicker and just a little nicer than bacon in this particular recipe. So this is what I'm using. Feel free to use whatever kind of shrimp or prawns that you like. I have prosciutto here, and this one is actually a product of Germany, but prosciutto is usually an Italian ham, but of course it's popular in the United States as well. And this is already sliced, and it is thinly sliced, and it comes in strips. And so I am going to be cutting each of these lengthwise because we want a long, thin strip. We're going to be doing 24 shrimp, and this is 12 slices of prosciutto. So I'm going to take a piece out, and I'm just going to use my kitchen shears, and I'm going to slice it lengthwise. So I am going to take a prawn, and I'm going to brush it with my barbecue sauce. And I'm going to do this thoroughly on both sides. And that is going to act as our glue for our prosciutto. And then I'm going to take our prosciutto and I'm just going to start wrapping. And wrapping it all the way around until you reach the tail. And there he is. And then I'm just going to lay him down on my sheet pan. And once again, I sprayed this lightly with avocado oil spray. So I'm going to repeat that 24 times. And then we'll put them in the oven. I'm just going to brush these with a little extra barbecue sauce. Of course, there will be barbecue sauce later for dipping. So these are going to go into our preheated 400-degree oven for 6 minutes on the first side. And then we are going to flip them over and cook them for another 6 minutes after we've brushed them with additional barbecue sauce. So into the oven, 6 minutes. Okay, so there's our first side, and you can see things are starting to get shiny, which is what we're looking for. So now we are going to turn them over and brush with more barbecue sauce. Trying not to disrobe our shrimp. So now I'm going to brush them with some more of our barbecue sauce. So for our second side, I'm going to put these in for 5 minutes, and then I'm going to broil them for a minute to a minute and a half to make sure that they're nice and crispy on the top. So first of all, we're going back into the oven at 400 degrees for 5 minutes. There they are. You can see that our prosciutto has gotten nice and crispy. I did end up broiling it for about a minute and a half. So I'm going to plate these. I have also sliced some lime. You can squeeze lime on there before serving if you'd like a little bit of citrus flair at the end. But I'm going to plate these and let CJ have a taste. Hi CJ.
Hi.
Tonight we are having an appetizer. We are having prosciutto wrapped shrimp, and it has a bourbon barbecue sauce.
Looks good.
So tell us what you think.
Well, the prosciutto does crisp up really good. actually sweet. Smoky. They're good. Again, like I said, the prosciutto gets crispy. It's different than bacon. But it's still got that bacon kind of taste to it. I see you got lime on the plate, so I guess you want me to do something to that.
If you want to.
Well, we'll see.
It adds a bit of acid. There is some sweetness in there because of the brown sugar.
The lime gives it an added flavor note. So, it's good. It's a good appetizer. I think people will like it. It was fairly simple to make. Looks like it was. I was just holding the camera, so I don't know.
Well, and it was a non-ketogenic recipe, so you could safely take this to a party at your workplace or with friends that aren't practicing this lifestyle, and it should be still well received.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was good. And the barbecue sauce, I don't really taste any bourbon. I've never had bourbon before.
So you might be tasting it and not know.
But I don't really feel like get a strong alcohol flavor to it. If people
it's cooked. Yeah.
Or if people are concerned about that, I don't get it. So, all right, good job, baby. Thank you. Bye bye. Thanks for joining us again tonight, you guys. We hope that you had a wonderful holiday season, and that you will also have a wonderful New Year's. We would like you to please consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell if you're interested in ketogenic recipes every week. We release new recipes every Sunday, and we also have keto conversations on Wednesdays, and that's where we get together and we talk about different ketogenic topics that we face in this lifestyle. If you would like to go over to our blog at CJsKetoKitchen.com, that is where all of our recipes are housed. All of the nutritional information, the macros, tips and tricks, recipes we've made for previous holiday seasons, any other thing that you might need in regards to this recipe or any of our other recipes can always be found there. We are also on social media. We would like to have you join us there. We are on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and Twitter. A lot of times we release teaser photos and talk about things that we have made, are currently making, and that we plan on making in the future. So definitely join us there. And we hope that you will come back next year in just a few days and see us again on CJ's Keto Kitchen. And until then, be well. Bye-bye.